Hello, BookTube. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nathan. This is the first spoiler-free review video that I am doing in my Repairman Jack BookTube series. So, if you have not already watched my announcement video for this, then feel free to go to my channel and check that out, and I'll post a link in the description below. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm reading every single Repairman Jack book by F. Paul Wilson, and I'm going to read them for the most part in publication order. And I'm also going to read a parallel series that he wrote, where there's connections between the two, called the Adversary Cycle. So that ends up being 27 books. For each book, I'm going to post two different videos. The first one I'm going to post on Fridays typically. This one's an exception to that, but I'm going to post short spoiler-free review videos on Fridays, and that's basically for anybody who has not read the book before, who wants to get a sense of what it's about. And then the following Thursday, then I'm going to post a much longer discussion video where I get into the content of the book. So, the first one is The Tomb. This was originally published in 1984, and then if you don't know the history behind this, then I'll give you a quick breakdown of this. Basically, F. Paul Wilson, he wrote this book called The Tomb, and he introduced this character. The protagonist of the story is Repairman Jack, and he knew very, very quickly that this character absolutely had the potential to be a series character, and he did not want to write a series. And so essentially what he did was he wrote this book, and because of the way he wrote the ending, it's fairly open-ended, then you end up not getting a whole bunch of other Repairman Jack books that come out of this until something like 15 years later, 14 years later, something along those lines, where he comes out with Legacies. And so there's a pretty big gap in that. Now, The Tomb is an interesting book because, like I say, he ends up revising this. So he revised the book in 2004 after he had already published several Repairman Jack books, somewhere around like 5 or 6 of them. Then he came back and he revisited The Tomb to basically make it a little bit more to fit with the timeline of the other Repairman Jack books. Just simple things like the cell phone that Jack has and technology that's going on, so that way it fits within the timeline, and it doesn't feel like you've got a character in 1984 who's now somehow the same age in 1999. That he wanted to address that. So that's partially what he's doing. Now, I can't remember when I first read The Tomb, if I read the revised edition or if I read the original edition of it. In any case, I do plan on reading the original edition if I can get my hands on a copy when I end up going back to the Adversary Cycle. So let me read you the back cover copy of this. Much to the chagrin of his girlfriend Gia, Repairman Jack doesn't deal with appliances. He fixes situations for people. Situations that too often land him in deadly danger. His latest fix is finding a stolen necklace, which, unknown to him, is more than a simple piece of jewelry. Some might say it's cursed. Others might call it blessed. The quest leads Jack to a rusty freighter on Manhattan's West Side docks. What he finds in its hold threatens his sanity and the city around him. But worst of all, it threatens Gia's daughter Vicky, the last surviving member of a bloodline marked for extinction. So that's more or less what it's about. That's the back cover copy. I'm just going to read a couple of the quotes that you've got on here, just to give you a sense of how well received this book was. So you get a quote on the front here, a quotation from Stephen King, where he said, "The Tomb is one of the best all-out adventure stories I've read in years." And then in parentheses it says, "President of the Repairman Jack fan club." So that's from Stephen King. On the back, you've got a quote from Dean Koontz. "Repairman Jack is one of the most original and intriguing characters to arise out of contemporary fiction in ages. Hugely entertaining." And then you have a quote from David Morrell, who wrote First Blood or Rambo, amongst many other books, but I think that's probably what he's most known for. F. Paul Wilson is a great storyteller and a thoughtful one. So this is the interesting thing to me about F. Paul Wilson. If you've not read any of his books before, he is considered by his peers to be an excellent, excellent writer, and I think really for no other reason than the fact that there has not been a Repairman Jack movie or TV series. For that reason, he the series itself is an interesting one because it's popular, but it's not so popular that a lot of people know about it the way you get with Jason Bourne or Jack Reacher or other series characters like this. And so the Tomb, it's got something else that makes it difficult in some ways to market, and it's that it blends genres, and that makes it a more difficult book to market. F. Paul Wilson really doesn't like sticking within one genre, and I really like writers who refuse to stick within one genre. And so you got a little bit of everything in this book. It's a thriller, particularly, it's a crime thriller. It's also got some horror elements. It's a creature feature. You've got some cosmic horror that comes up in this. You've got some conspiracies that come up in this as well. You get action, Jack being an urban mercenary, and it's a little bit of a supernatural mystery. So there's a whole bunch of things going on all at once. And as far as the rest of it, then I'm going to save that for my longer discussion video. But if that sounds interesting, then I would say, it's well worth checking out, especially if you have not read a Repairman Jack book before. I would say The Tomb is a great place to start. And if you enjoy the book, then you've got lots more to enjoy. But if not, then you at least have got a pretty good sense of what the series is doing by reading The Tomb. I will say this, just to kind of close off this first video. What he's doing in the series, I'm saying that they are thrillers and they're crime thrillers. And what I mean by that is that you get the story told from multiple characters' perspectives. It's not first person, it's a third person narration, which I'm going to get into in the longer discussion video. But what ends up happening, the effect of that, is that it reads really, really quickly. That you're never sticking with one character for too long. You're kind of jumping from one to another to another to another to another. And that ends up making it feel like an even shorter book than it is. In other words, that it reads more like a page turner. So it's a fairly fun book to get through. Anyway, like I say, I'm going to save the rest of my thoughts for the longer discussion video, and I hope that you do check this out. And if so, then you've got a whole bunch more to enjoy. All right, thanks so much.